Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details, and I have a Nissan in today. We're getting it ready to sell. Customer kind of inherited it from his mom and is looking to sell. So we're going to be doing a thorough interior detail as well as exterior engine cleaning, wash wax. We've got some lime built up on the wheels, so we're going to see what we can do that, but the customer's prepared to buy new hubcaps if they have to. But in this video, I want to show you guys, we have the upholstery in here is heavily stained, especially these seats. And I know a lot of you have requested videos on me sharing with you how I would approach cleaning, fabric seats, cloth mats, things like that. So I want to try to do a video sharing with you guys my techniques and products and tools that I use on cleaning cloth seats and mats. So let's get into it. But for vacuuming the interior, we have the rigid 5 horsepower. You want a minimum of 5 horsepower. There are some that go up to 6.5, even more. 5 is sufficient enough for auto detailing. I like the compact size of this rigid. And I did pay the extra money to get the auto detailing kit so I could have the longer hose and then use the crevice attachment. And then I will also use this extended crevice nozzle to be able to get in between seats. And then I have various brushes here for me to be able to get into these tighter spaces. Ooh, there's a spider. I'm gonna just do my best to agitate and then vacuum and do the same along the seats here. We've got some papers, tissues, things like that. But a lot of this loose soil, first you'll vacuum up and then you'll take your drill brush and then agitate. You don't want to do the drill brush before you do kind of a quick pre-vacuum because you're just going to be making a whole lot of dust. And I've learned with seats, when they're heavily soiled like this, or even armrests, when you do go over your surface with the drill brush, watch. So you can just see. You don't want to do this step before, so you want to do your drill brush on your seats, fabrics, things like that first, because it will shoot up a lot of dust and dead skin cells. So if you've already kind of done a pre-vacuum on your plastics, you're just going to end up creating more work for yourself. So you have to think through your process. So I would do the agitation on this surface first, because there's normally a lot more soiling that can occur. I would do drill brush, then you can do a pre-vacuum on your floors, then do your drill brush there. Then from there, do another thorough vacuuming of your carpets, and then you can go over your plastics. And I know I've done it in a lot of videos, but I will use a detail brush as I'm vacuuming to go into all of my nooks and crannies and get all that dirt that's jammed in there up, so that way I have all the loose soiling. And I'll even drill brush these to try to knock up as much dead skin cells as possible, so that way we have less risk of wicking, which wicking is when you've extracted a carpet and as your solution dries, there are tendencies that it can lift soiling back to the surface, and then your surface will look dirty. It's essentially, you can fix it by rubbing over it with a microfiber or buying special solutions like I think it's Stop Spot that kind of help prevent wicking. But essentially, when you have wicking, that just means there's so much deep soiling in the fibers that it's just going to lift it to the surface, so you can either continue to clean or just go over it with a microfiber and kind of rub off that surface dirt. But that's my process. I'm going to go ahead and put you into time lapse, but essentially that's what I do. Agitate, vacuum, agitate, and then from there do my plastics, and I will work section by section. So I'll do this section, then I'll move to the back, then the trunk, then work my way to that section, and then over here. And then by the time everything is said and done, then I will come in and we'll start scrubbing all of our carpets and seats. So let's get into it. Just wanted to pause real quick and show you what the after looks like just after a simple agitation with a drill brush. We were able to get all that embedded kind of sawdust up, vacuum it up. So now when we come in and do our shampooing, we're gonna have a whole lot of less soiling to worry about because we've already agitated as much loose soiling as possible. We did our seats, tops and backs, armrests, and then from there we did our dry brush vacuuming, and you can see just already the difference in dust and just a final appearance. If this was just a standard maintenance, this is a fantastic way to just quickly clean any loose soiling. Anything that's left behind is stuck on, and I know that I need to agitate with a cleaner and mop up. And obviously, you know, you've got staining, things like that around the steering wheel, but everything else has been pulled up. Anything that's left behind is kind of stuck on and needs some agitation. So we were able to drastically make a big difference just by doing a proper agitation and vacuum. But you can still see tight areas like this. Let me bring you in closer. Tight areas like this right here. We're gonna have to put our seat forward. All right, so we pulled our seat forward. We'll go ahead and vacuum this section right here because normally you can't gain access to it because of the pillar. But we'll go ahead, vacuum this up, and then we'll come in here. Now that we've moved our seat forward, that allows us to get into all of these tight spaces that were in behind the seat. So you can see here, and then what most people don't realize, a majority of cars will have a way to access this tight space right here. So you can come underneath of the metal track and vacuum this way. So even if you were to come in here with a tight brush, I like to use a stiff brush like this, and what I'll do is I'll just come in here and just agitate. So even if your drill brush can't get in there, these tight, narrow brushes can. Even if you come in here, do your track, but you can just see, just come in here, agitate, get as far back as you can, and then you can also come in underneath. And that's a great way to clean the tight spaces up underneath your seat. Just move your seat forward, and that'll gain access to a majority. And if you pull your seat as far back in the front, do as much as you can reach that way, and then come in behind and do it that way. But we're going to keep moving on this, but I want to show you what kind of results. So here's our before on this section here. I'm going to do the exact same procedure that I did in the front, and you can even see we've got some staining here. We'll see how much of that is loose soil, and we can agitate. It is a little sticky, so I'm thinking we're going to have to shampoo that. But you'd be surprised how much agitating can help even these areas right here where we've got just ground in dirt. So let's get this cleaned. Alright, so here's our after. You can see we've got some sticky stuff that kind of got embedded. You can use the plastic part of the nozzle to kind of scrape off anything that's stuck, and then that will kind of just leave behind any of this residue. But you can see we were able to loosen and agitate a lot of the soil. All of our tight spaces right here, even if I can't get in there to shampoo, that is sufficient just for cleaning purposes. A majority of times, the dirt that's going to be in here is either going to be like coffee drips or just loose soiling. And a lot of times, even if you can't get an extractor head in there, you can use a product like Folex or even just an APC sprayed on your microfiber, agitate, and just get kind of any surface stains that might be there. And 9 times out of 10, that is going to be sufficient enough. But you can see we got we had some ground in stuff. We were able to agitate that with our brush, vacuum it up. We were able to get all along this back seat, all underneath, all the way up to the front. And then here, we were able to pull up a lot of the dry soiling from the sticky residue. So anything that's left behind will easily be cleaned up with our extractor. But you can just see what a world of a difference a stiff brush, drill brush, and a proper vacuuming. You do not want to skimp on the vacuuming. You don't just want to quickly come in and then think I'll just extract it, because you're going to create mud. Dirt and water make mud, so you want to try to pull up as much loose soiling as possible. So we did all of this left side of the vehicle now. Even came in here. Everything looks substantially better. If you're just doing this for maintenance purposes, you know, this could be sufficient for a light cleanup, but we're prepping this to sell, so we're going to keep moving. I'm not going to necessarily show you guys time lapse on everything else. You can see when you're getting a car ready for sale, or even just detailing, you want to pay attention to all your nooks and crannies. So we're going to come in here. We're going to clean even our spare wheel compartment. Put your seats down, vacuum the backs, get inside of any nooks and crannies that you can gain access to. If you can see it, you need to clean it. That's how detailing works. So areas like this where it's super tight, you might only be able to get your nozzle back in there. Use the stiff plastic part to kind of agitate that dirt, and then that should be sufficient for a majority of the time. But we're going to come in here, do the same procedure of vacuuming and using our stiff brushes to agitate. And you can just see this is our before. I'll show you the after once it's all said and done, just to try to keep this video down. But you can see all the dirt underneath. This is everything that I've picked up in the nooks and crannies along seats and things like that. So I'm going to bring you back once I have the entire thing vacuumed out, and we'll get into our extraction. Alright, so the most important step is completed. We have done our pre-vacuum. If you were to talk to any commercial carpet cleaner, they would tell you that this is the most important and sometimes overlooked step, because you can, one, make your job a whole lot easier, but two, eliminate a lot of future problems with wicking and just needing to use excessive moisture, when really you could just lightly go over surface and get up a majority of the soils. The seats are still stained. We still have some areas, like right here, you can tell we've got some dried coffee. So when I hit that with the extractor, we're definitely going to be pulling that to the surface. Even areas like here, where we've just got some dried and crusted soiling, and then just some spots. All of these will clean up really easily, but we've been able to remove a lot of the dead skin cells, dry dust, loose soils, and this is probably the worst, just because it's been matted down and there's just a lot of body oils that have matted it down. So let's go ahead and take a look at our equipment and chemicals and what we're going to use. Alright, so before we get started, I just want to make it known, I already did my door jambs, because if you're going to be doing your carpets and seats, there's the potential, the way that I do it is with Superior Products Rage and a pressure washer. It's a touchless, quick way to knock out especially a lot of the dirt and grease that can build up here, get all of our rubbers cleaned. But you can see we had a lot of caked on mud on the bottom. Did a fantastic job. I'm gonna actually do my mats because it's a sunnier day. I can lay them out and they'll for sure be dry by the time the customer comes, because the method that I'm going to be using to do my mats, because these are very heavily soiled, especially this driver's mat, there's a lot of caked in sand. I beat it maybe 3 times, 4 times, and still went over it with the vacuum, and there's still a lot of sand and loose soiling in it. So I'm going to end up using my pressure washer. Now I have over here, this is a very basic Ryobi pressure washer. I picked this up at Home Depot on Black Friday. So it's nothing super fancy. I have a white tip on it, nothing too aggressive, no turbo nozzle, nothing that's going to leave kind of etchings in the carpet. If you do it too close or too powerful of a nozzle, you can kind of leave lines and damage the carpet fiber. So you don't want to have too aggressive. But let me go ahead and put this up here. Get this connected. All right. Let me go ahead and grab my chemical. When it comes to doing carpets, if you're wanting to get pro results, you need a pro product. A lot of guys will use products like Super Clean or Meguiar's APC or ADG F-Bomb, and those are great all-purpose cleaners, especially for maintenance or light soiling. But when you've got heavy soiling and you don't want to have the potential risk of the all-purpose cleaner or whatever solution it is acting like a glue, because sometimes these all-purpose cleaners, they don't rinse adequately enough, and so what happens is you're going to end up with some of the solution staying in the carpet, especially if you're not rinsing it completely. Let's say you just want to use a hose or the extractor, you use a lot of cleaner to clean it, and it can clean it, but you're not going to pull out all of that solution. And what happens is anytime you have future soiling, or let's say you get into your car with wet shoes, you're going to reactivate that solution, and it's going to become like glue then for future soils, and it's going to actually soil faster. So I like to use a product. This is Bonnet Pro Revive It Rocket, or Rocket Revive It as I call it, but it basically, you can read here, contains citrus and peroxide in an encapsulation formula with T3H polymers that will help you clean heavily soiled carpets even with lower water temperatures. So you can use this in a cold water extractor. I have right here my Aqua Pro Vac. I have hot water in the tank. I'm not going to be using a steam cleaner because between this solution and the extractor, I will get fantastic results. So what we're going to do, I have this mixed up already in a bottle, 4 or 5 to 1, and we're going to go ahead, pre-treat, agitate with a drill brush. I did switch the drill brush head to the flat one versus the cone. That way I'm not shooting water out and I'm keeping the solution in the carpet. And we're going to go ahead, pre-treat, agitate, and then we're going to use our extractor. Alright, we've got our mats done. They are drying out in the sun. We've pulled as much up as possible, and you can see we've got fantastic looking clean mats. Alright, we've got our mats put back in. Everything has been vacuumed, shampooed, scrubbed, glass has been cleaned, door jambs have been cleaned, everything has been dressed. We were able to save our seats. I'm just going to bring you over here. So in getting this vehicle ready to sell, using a $500 extractor, Bonnet Pro Rocket Revive It, you can see all of our stains came up fantastic. Everything looks nice and fresh and clean. So I hope you guys enjoy this kind of more in-depth tutorial on how I approach cleaning interiors, especially nasty seats and carpets and mats. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me a line or a comment down below. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. We're going to keep it moving on the outside, but for the most part, this is a very doable process for anybody as long as you have the right tools, chemicals, and equipment. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. If you want to do it yourself, you want to have a quality extractor, you can use a wet dry vac, but you're not going to get quite as much lift, and it's going to be a little bit of a longer process. So if this is something that you are looking for deep results like this, you can always rent an extractor. You can use even the Bissell Pro or the Rug Doctor Carpet Spotter. I've used those in the past and they give me great results. A little bit more cumbersome, maybe not as much output of water and lift, but still get great results. But using a drill brush with the Bonnet Pro Rocket Revive It, we were able to get a consistent clean look to all of our carpets and seats, and the customer's going to be blown away. Hopefully we'll see the return on the investment when it comes time to sell it. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great day.